ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Jarnubis Mpasi, aka Jarex. Other people know me as my former name, Justin Paul. I'd like to talk to you lot today, man. I hope everyone's doing good. So this is my first podcast. I'll give you a bit of background. I am the founder of ATS Creative Academy. I also run a support record label called Cash Project Records. You can find us on Instagram, on all the social platforms. I work with a lot of young people, our community, and I've also been in the pastoral care for in and out 10 years. That includes behavioural management, anger management, and so forth. I've also been behind the scenes and within the music industry. Music is my forte. I've currently released 2 singles at the moment, one called Fly With Me and the other one called Keep Your Excellence, which is on all the local platforms, from iTunes to it all. So yeah, you can research me, just type in Google any one of the companies and they will come up. What's the point of today? Well, today I'm going to put it as a question, and it's all about the relativity between creativity and mental health. And I pose the question of, are we being creatively stimulated in our modern society? Hence the increase of mental health or emotional problems. And I'll get to this and my reasons in a moment. But first we have to understand the word creativity. Now, where did that word come from, and how do we see it and how do we perceive it? Well, creativity in an academic definition in the current stage, in the millennium, is stated as an emergent phenomenon that builds on what has gone before and arises from ongoing interactions. This is researchers' definitions in the 2000s. Now, the dictionary defines creativity as the use of the imagination or original ideas to create something. Now, yes, everything with creativity starts with the idea. Both definitions states that a phenomenon that builds on what has gone before, an idea based from an idea that was once present before, and one's imagination that based on the dictionary. One's use of one's imagination to create something. Yeah, of course. Now, look at the history of the definition of creativity. In the 1950s, they thought it was possessed by few, so only a few people had a creativity. So creative minds were only based on, those extravagant people that came with ideas out of the blue and it was never heard of or thought of before. So in the 60s, it was associated with mental flexibility that can be learned. So you come up with an idea and you teach the others, so that's from the creative concept right through to the idea, and you teach people. In the 1970s, the role of a relevant experience. Now, what do they mean by that? Role of relevant experience. So depending on your experience depends on what type of ideas you can come across. A bit vague. I don't know. 1980s, drawn to the key role of instinct, of motivation, doing it because you want to. Doing it because you want to. I could see why they perceived it like that in the 1980s, because you come up with an idea, some people say that idea is not right, and you do it anyway, which kind of stands in the current moment now, but we'll get to that. And in the 1990s, they saw it as organization paid more attention to the effect of work culture and environment, creativity in organizations. That's in the 1990s. So they brought more creative thinking into businesses and organizations, the outlets that we see now like Coca-Cola, Virgin, and so forth and so on, where they brought creative ideas and aspects into business places and workplaces. Hence why we see advertising, So that's just taking one element of what type of creativity processes that they use within business. They use advertisement to promote their business and get you to buy from their companies. Okay, so that was a creative process, engineering. Okay, now moving on. So we now know that from the 1950s right up to the millennium, that the definitions of creativity has changed. Now, once again, the definition in the millennium is as an emergent phenomenon that builds on what has gone on before and arises ongoing interactions. That's researchers' definition, guys. And the dictionary is the use of imagination or original ideas to create something. Okay, now why am I asking, is there a link between creativity and creative thinking and mental health? Well, let's look at the creativity and creative thinking. Okay, well, creativity comes from, according to researchers, the perception of creativity has a significant impact on personal beliefs regarding creativity. Why is that? Because how one perceives creative thinking or creativity depends on how one's creative thinking goes by themselves. So how you see creativity, are you a creative or are you not a creative? That's what we're talking about. Are you creative or are you not creative? So how you perceiving the word creativity. Okay, so some people will look and base creativity on the creative arts spectrum. But mate, that's not it. That is really not it. We're all creatives in our own unique way. And my question is are we being creatively stimulated? Okay, so we have to debunk the myths. And the common myths are, the left side, right side part of the brain. Logic, structure, rationality doing to the left, and right belonging to creativity, magic, ideas and expression. This is based on Nobel Prize winner Roger Sperry. So you could do your research on him. This is all debunked, by the way, by Uruk and Runkle, who are neuroscientists. Neuroscientists successfully isolated certain elements of human behavior and characteristics to specific parts of the brain. Okay, now listen to this. The hippocampus is located in the temporal lobe in each cerebral cortex. Okay, right, plays an important part of the limbic system. Okay, the cortical region that regulates motivation, emotion, and learning, including memory. The limbic is the small part of the brain below the thalamus, both sides of the third vertebra. Physical representations neurologically mapped out the autonomy of the visions. Now, so that means that there's different parts of the brain that are operating when we're in our creative thinking and when we're processing our creative idea that has come to light. Okay, so what does that mean? So, psychologist Scott Barry, he says, the entire creative process from the preparation to the incubation to illumination to verification consists of many interacting cognitive processes, both on the conscious and subconscious level. Okay, so that means that during the whole creative thinking, your whole creative process, through the idea, from the concept, the idea, right through to bringing that idea into fruition, into production, okay, which is the incubation. You're testing and trial that idea with other people, seeing if that idea works, and then you mass produce that idea for others to be able to, use it. Like, for example, the fork. The pen, someone had that idea and now we're able to use it for our own beneficial reasons. So there are different stages of creativity. Moving on, we actually use the whole entire brain when we're in our creative process, when we're in our creative state of mind. The stage of creativity process and what is being created calls for different parts of the brain to group up and complete the creative task So creativity is a part of our nature. Do you get it, guys? It's a part of our nature. So again, my question poses, are we being creatively stimulated in this modern world? Hence why mental health or emotional imbalance or um, depression is at high, especially during lockdown and COVID periods. So are we being creatively stimulated? Studies show highly creative PPI runs a higher risk of